Yo, what is up, everybody? Chris here from Esports News Axis Rotation, however the flip you know me in these interwebs, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick preview of what to expect going into Week 5 of Stage 1 of the CDL qualifiers, that being our last week of CDL matches before we have our first LAN of the 2025-2026 season in beautiful Dallas, Texas. Now, if you're going to be attending the event, like some of my friends, be sure to have a good time, stay safe, and, enjoy yourself. So, without further ado, let's enjoy ourselves. We're being treated to a great slate of Friday matches. If you guys didn't know, I do highlights every week. You'll see those on the page as well. And I also do watch parties on my Twitch channel. I watch the matches, I react, and I answer questions. So if you are ever curious about Call of Duty, you want to learn, pop into my Twitch chat, and yeah, say what's up. So, looking at our first matchup of the week, we have the new look Carolina Royal Ravens taking on Optic Texas. And honestly, guys, please bear with me if you disagree with some of these hot takes. It's just because this is what my last week looked like. I got one prediction right. This game has so much parity. Honestly, you just have to go with what you think will happen that day. So, with this in mind, I'm not going to make a crazy curveball. I'm still going to pick Optic to win this, even though they did not look their best against LA Thieves. I think it's just because LA Thieves is a top caliber team, and Optic, they just were a step behind the top tier teams. I still think against a team like the Carolina Royal Ravens, Mercules is more than enough. Hook will definitely step up, Shotzi will step up, and so will Dashy. Even though Optic isn't a little bit shaky, I just feel like, relatively speaking, shaky versus a top team versus shaky against a team with Exceed, Craze, Lurk, and Nero trying to figure it out is a very different challenge, which is why I think Optic will be able to sufficiently solve this and get a 3-2. I think it'll be very close, though. I think that Craze and the boys will be right at their heels. I think this will be a series where they really cement themselves as one of the top teams for the casuals to really pay attention to if they haven't been already. And yeah, I think this is where the community really starts to look at Carolina as they are now, which is a serious contender. So, speaking of serious contenders, we have a really fun one in our last matchup of Friday. We have the Paris Gentlemates taking on Toronto Koi with Joe Deceives. Of course, we have some really fun storylines here. Envoy, former teammate of Kleenex, and of course Insight, played on Toronto Ultra a couple years ago. Dan Ghosty and Joe Deceives, of course, they're former teammates. Um, and then Real has no links to any of the other guys, and same with Nep and Sib. But yeah, I mean, we have some pretty fun storylines. You got the Ghosty versus Joe, former teammate storyline. Then you got the Envoy versus Toby and Insight, former, teammate storyline as well. So storylines are here. The action hopefully will be there. Gentlemates looked a little bit last week, so hopefully they get right. Hopefully they lock in. And hopefully Toronto also locks in. Both teams are coming off of a loss. Let's look, just so you guys get a quick refresher. Toronto lost to the Carolina Royal Ravens. Carolina, honestly, that was a momentum diff. They won around 11, and that kind of swung the momentum in that series. And similar thing with the Riyadh Falcons. They really just kind of gained momentum, winning the map 2 in decisive fashion, and never really looked back. So this is, I guess, going to be a momentum series because both teams lost their series recently to really solid contenders through just a change of momentum, right? So, apples to apples, who do I think shows up? I'm going to say that the Paris Gentlemates probably get a comfortable win here. I think it's a comfortable 3-2. And the reason being, I think that Real is going to be slightly exploitable in this matchup. The thing is, I've been watching Koi and I've been watching Real because I've been expecting him to kind of be that explosive player he was for Miami last year, and he just hasn't been that. His impact has just not been there yet. So obviously there's a comfort element to it, getting used to playing with a superstar like Joe Deceives when Real was the superstar. It's going to take some time for him to adjust, but I think that adjustment is something that Paris can definitely capitalize on because it seems that Envoy, Neptune, Sib, and Ghosty, they just have what they want to do figured out. Like whoever has the hot hand is pretty much who they play through, it seems. So I think the Paris Gentlemates, they have what it takes to get it done here, and that's why I think they get a Game 5 dub over a Toronto Koi that's definitely looking to rebound this weekend. Speaking of Toronto Koi and how they're looking to rebound this weekend, I think after playing Paris Gentlemates, likely losing to them, I think they will get an important rebound here to gatekeep and hate keep G2 from winner's bracket. Now, I will offer the caveat that G2 is trying to climb the standings. Let's look at the standings. From currently sitting in 10th place, yes, to potentially usurping the Miami Heretics for that 8th seed and making the winners bracket in Major 1. I don't think that's possible. I really don't think that's possible. But if they win here, they definitely still have somewhat of a fighting chance. Unless there's a head-to-head that I'm not thinking of. Did they play each other? G2, Miami. Not there. Let's look, guys. Miami. No. Okay. Did they play week 1? They did not. Okay, so no head-to-head. Wonder how that would be decided if G2 wins this, but I don't think they will. I don't think it'll matter. I think Toronto Koi, I think they should get a 3-2, especially after watching the VOD from the Faze series, seeing what G2 was able to exploit in that series in terms of the momentum, and the way that they played everything. The Faze series was all momentum. They lost around 11 and they lost their heads. Also, Simp and 04 just genuinely didn't show up on Sunday. So I think Toronto Koi, I think they will show up on Saturday, especially if they do end up losing to Paris Gentlemates. Even worse for the G2 side would be if they beat Paris Gentlemates and they come into that series with some momentum and some confidence. Either way, I think Toronto Koi will get this one done. Now, looking at our next series, speaking of people who I think will get it done, we have the Riyadh Falcons taking on Cloud9 New York. And I mentioned Riyadh Falcons first because I think they will get it done. I think it'll be another 3-1. That rhymed accidentally. No Chris move. Honestly, I really like what I saw from Riyadh last week. I think that series against Paris Gentlemates was the real deal. I don't think that was just Paris playing badly. I think Riyadh is that good of a team. You know, you put Cell, Pred, and Kiz together, you're going to have most likely good results. And then Exnid, he's a shooter. I've been saying it since Black Ops 6. I've been a fan of the guy. I've been waiting for him to get the respect that he deserves from the comm. People are finally starting to sing his praises. And yeah, I think this Riyadh Falcons team is going to be a top tier team for the entirety of this year. Now, speaking of teams that I think will be top tier teams for the entirety of this year, we have the LA Thieves coming off of a hot victory over the defending 2024-2025 world champions Optic Texas, taking on the Boston Breach, who it must be said are coming off of a hot reverse sweep over a pretty bad, Cloud9 team. So, all things being considered, I think this is a story of two teams whose forms could not be in more diametrically opposed places, right? You had a team that was recently in the hole of blow it up, that being the LA Thieves. They climbed their way out of it. Kenny threw them out of that hole. And now you have the Boston Breach, who recently were thrown into that hole, right? They just lost the Miami Heretics in embarrassing fashion. We all kind of expected Boston to have a fighting chance in that series. Most of us expected them to win. And then they almost lost to Cloud9 in the following series after that in almost 3-0 fashion. So Boston just entered blowed up territory and barely kind of maybe came out of it. I don't think so. I mean, there's still a lot of questions to be asked after C9 New York gets you down 2-0 and then you beat them 6-0 in game 5. So with that in mind, I think it'll be a Thieves 3-1. Excuse me. I think it'll be a really, really good series, but I just feel like Purge has not been showing up. He's not been stepping up when these guys need him to. Cammy has been very, very inconsistent. Nasty's just been trying to keep everything held together. He's clearly the glue of this team. We know he's the IGL, but he's doing more than that. I mean, he dropped 13 and 4 to keep Boston in the S&D last week against the Heretics. Anyways, they're asking Nasty to do way too much. Snoopy's been lower impact than I thought he would be. I thought this would be his breakout year. So that's why I'm not too high on this Boston team in this series, and that's why I think LA Thieves get it done 3-1. Now, speaking of teams that got it done 3-1 last week, we have the Miami Heretics taking on the Paris Gentlemates. I think honestly, this will be a really, really good series. I think it'll be a very tight series. I'm going to make this a 5-game series, but I'm going to back my guy Dan Ghosty, Envoy, Neptune, and Sib. I'm going to back the Paris Gentlemates here. Miami Heretics have been impressing the absolute hell out of me. Medals, you've been looking phenomenal, brother. I owe you an apology. I wasn't familiar with your game, clearly. You know, there's a reason why that guy's a pro player. So, speaking of that, I think medals is probably going to be the make or break thing here. I'm saying thing like he's a thing. The make or break player here. And I think if he pops off, then the Gentlemates will likely lose this series. But if Medals has a normal, typical human performance, I think it'll be a 3-2 for the Gentlemates. I think the real pathway to their success is him going absolutely nuclear, right? Like he has to have a generational series. I just put that out there, right? So now it's most likely going to happen, and I'm going to come back next week. Oh my god, guys, I said it in the video and it happened. So yeah, there we go. But it is what it is. Fuck it, we ball. Speaking of ball, we have the LA Thieves taking on the Carolina Royal Ravens, and at the end of this, I think the Los Angeles Thieves will be saying to Carolina, "Are you my ball?" Because I think they're about to embarrass them. I'm not going to lie. I think they're about to take them on a date and not pay, leave them with the bill. So I think it'll be a 3-1 in favor of the LA Thieves. Honestly, guys, you know, I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting on this for a minute. My guy Kenny's back. Goat back. I'm putting all my faith in Kenny, dude. Don't even sweat it. So, speaking of people that won't even be sweating it, we have Faze Vegas taking on Tej and the Vancouver Surge. Maybe Tej will be feeling like Pred. Maybe we get another Faze versus Surge matchup that really feeds the lore that this rivalry has had for years, where Faze and Surge just always seems to be a close game. Somehow, some way, no matter the team, no matter how bad it looks. The shades of Major 4 and Cold War. Let's not talk about that, alright? I'm sorry, Major 5 and Cold War. Let's not talk about that. Bad vibes, bad memories. Octane and Classic sent my boys home in insane fashion when they were the worst team in the league. I mean, yeah, Surge Phase has led to some insane outcomes that no one would ever expect in Call of Duty. So, I think this week it'll be a little bit different. I had a lot of faith in the Vancouver Surge after they picked up Tej, but honestly, these guys might be ass. I think it's going to be a 3-1 for FaZe. I feel like especially after that embarrassing loss to G2, you know, O4 is doing crossovers on MFs and shit. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a bad look. You get pants by G2, Kremp. These guys are 1-4. You make them 2-4. You lose the 1 seed. I mean, that's a greasy neck tour. Your chain got snatched, bro. Your chain got snatched. I mean, it is what it is. So, that'll wrap it up for me, guys. I'm going to, of course, be doing original content on the channel like I always do, and hope you guys are enjoying that. But yeah, that'll just about wrap it up for me. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night. Hope you enjoyed this last week of qualifiers before the Stage 1 Major. And yeah, be sure to come back next week for a preview of the Stage 1 Major, everything going down on the LAN, players to watch. I'm going to be doing another power ranking. I'm going to go hard with my comprehensive coverage. I'm going to also do highlights, compilation highlights of like round 11s, close hard points, etc. So you guys have some fun things to watch. And yeah, catch you guys on the next one. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, like I always say. And once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News Activation. However, flipping on me in the webs, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Appreciate all the love and support, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.